I was there for the inauguration when we introduced the institution that is now going to be looking after the heritage of films. And I have volunteered to work in this cause. And Shivendra, anytime as always, when you shall need my services, I shall always be there. But really, it's wonderful to have Bhavana put all the thoughts together. The generations to come will want to know what happened in the early years. And there really is no reference point for it. And I think that for somebody like her to put across the 100 years of cinema in the form of a book, which is not like reading a book, it's more interesting to watch it, to go through it in a very fun way. And I think that's a very novel idea to keep the audiences and the readers attracted to something like this. So I compliment you, Bhavana, for that. I also feel that in the years to come, both Shivendra and you should join up and make many more such examples of our heritage. It was heartbreaking to see what we saw in the film of how films are being destroyed. We used to joke during the time when we used to work with film. Now, of course, we work with digital. That every time a take went wrong, we used to joke that चलो यार इसकी चूड़ियाँ तो बन जाएंगी कम से कम. Whatever film used to be left over at that point of time, उनकी चूड़ियाँ बनाई जाती थी. पता नहीं अभी भी बनती है या नहीं बनती. But can you imagine the amount of valuable footage that has gone into that escapade? So thank you, Shivendra, thank you, Bhavana, for putting all this together. And anytime you need any further help to either propagate or to work towards its heritage, I shall always be there. Thank you.
Movie watching habits has got to do a lot with your childhood memories. How you were exposed to cinema. For example, we used to have holidays on Thursdays. And my mother used to say that if you finish your homework on time, then your father and I are going to take you for a movie. And my sister and I would finish our homework, we would pack our school bag, and we would be ready to go for a film. Most of the time joined by my nephews and nieces, a car full of people. My mother would pack homemade snacks wrapped in her cloth bag, which was in the dark distributed to us children because buying the popcorns was expensive for so many children. What are your memories of childhood? How were you exposed to films? How did you watch them? I have always been curious to know.
I was born and brought up in Allahabad, in Uttar Pradesh. And in Allahabad, the Capital Cinema was the very prominent theatre where we used to go and watch films. In our time, parents used to go and wet a film before the children were allowed to go and see it. तो जो भी फिल्में आती थी और जिसके लिए हम चाहते थे कि हमें जाना है उसे देखने, पहले वो देखते थे, उसका अनुमान लगाते थे कि ये देखने लायक है कि नहीं बच्चों के लिए. उसके बाद हमें इजाज़त मिलती थी वहाँ जाने के लिए. कैपिटल थिएटर शायद अब भी है इलाहाबाद में, और उसकी यूनिकनेस ये थी कि वो एक सिनेमा थिएटर था लेकिन साथ में एक रेगुलर थिएटर भी था. उसके ऊपर स्टेज परफॉर्मेंसेस भी होती थी. ऐसा स्टेज बनाया हुआ था वहाँ. और कई बार वहाँ पर हमने पृथ्वीराज कपूर और उनकी जो पृथ्वी थिएटर्स ग्रुप था उनका वहाँ पर हमने उनके प्लेस देखे. और लॉरेन एंड हार्डी की एक फ़िल्म थी द फ्लाइंग ड्यूसेस, वो मेरी पहली फ़िल्म थी. और उसके बाद जितनी भी ये सिंड्रेला और लिटिल रेड राइडिंग हुड इस तरह की जो फिल्में आती थी डिज्नी की, वो देखने जाते थे. हिंदी फिल्म शायद जो पहली देखी थी वो शायद जागृति थी. बहुत ही पुरानी फिल्म थी, बच्चों के ऊपर एक फिल्म बनी थी. और बाद में कई सालों के बाद इलाहाबाद में पहला एयर कंडीशन थिएटर बना, उसका नाम था निरंजन. और हम लोग वहाँ देखने गए थे एक फिल्म जिसमें दिलीप साहब थे और देवानंद साहब.
It is very strange that you remember both the films, but of course you have a great memory. I have been trying to think which was the first film I saw and I have still not been able to recall. I am looking always for images where I will catch the memory of that film, but it doesn't come back. But I have memories associated with every film I have watched. For example, I remember that Amar Akbar Anthony, I saw it with all my college friends who are sitting there. I remember I saw Diwar with my sister in Badal Bijli, and the lights had gone out. And they said, we don't know when the lights will come back. This was happening in the climax scene when Nirupa you are on her lap. And nobody moved. And we were all so patient and accustomed to the lights going out, waiting, enjoying the film, coming out. And how things have changed now. You go to the multiplexes, it's air conditioned, the popcorns are expensive, but nobody feels the pinch somehow. The spending habits have changed. कई बार रेडियो के इंटरव्यू के दौरान सिद्धार्थ मुझे पूछते हैं कि आपका सबसे फेवरेट दशक कौन सा है, विच इज़ द बेस्ट. मुझे सिनेमा का सबसे फेवरेट दशक कौन सा है, विच इज़ द डेकेड दैट आई वैल्यू द मोस्ट. माई फेवरेट डेकेड इज़ द 50s because it ushered new wave cinema, great filmmakers, and great music. And my second favorite is the 70s because I was finding my roots in journalism at that time, and because I think the decade is very dramatic in writing, in performances. What are your favorite decades?
जितने भी डेकेड्स हैं सब मेरे फेवरेट्स हैं.
सबसे ज़्यादा एक तो बता दें.
नहीं, बड़ा मुश्किल है कहना. आपने जैसे कहा कि जो 50 का दशक था, उस समय तो हम लोग को इजाज़त मिल रही थी कि फिल्में जा कर के देखें, तो वो बहुत ही एक आश्चर्यजनक चीज़ होती थी. निरंजन सिनेमा जिसकी हमने अभी चर्चा की, वो इसलिए याद है और वो फिल्म इसलिए याद है क्योंकि एयर कंडीशन थिएटर जो था वो एक आविष्कार था. बहुत ही अद्भुत लगता था हमें, यार एक सिनेमा घर जो है वो एयर कंडीशन हो सकता है. तो वो याद हमारे साथ थी. और रुपए पैसों की बात की तो हम लोग तो वो सामने जो लकड़ी के बेंच होते थे उस पर बैठते थे. 8 आना टिकट होता था उसका, क्योंकि आज के ज़माने में 50 पैसे हैं. और ऐसे हम लोग फिल्में देखते थे. और हर दशक में हमें कुछ ना कुछ एक नया देखने को मिला, नए कलाकार देखने को मिले, नया संगीत, नए निर्माता निर्देशक. ये कहना कि ये दशक पहले दशक से ज़्यादा बेहतर था, ये कहीं ना कहीं अत्याचार होगा बहुत, क्योंकि ये हर दशक में कोई ना कोई एक हाँ कुछ नया लाया है, नए कलाकारों को पेश किया है. और आज भले ही हम बैठ करके यहाँ कह सकें कि जो 50 का दशक था, जो 60 का दशक था वो अच्छा था, लेकिन आज से 10-20 साल बाद लोग कहेंगे कि आज का दशक जो है बहुत सुंदर लगा हमें.
आज का दशक तो बहुत स्पेशल है ही, बिकॉज बहुत बेहतरीन फिल्में बन रही है, रियलिस्टिक फिल्में बन रही है, बहुत रियलिस्टिक परफॉर्मेंसेस दिए जा रहे हैं. मिसाल के तौर पे सिर्फ आपकी फ़िल्म की भी बात करें तो पीकू का जो आपका कैरेक्टर है और जो सब्जेक्ट है, ये हम सोच भी नहीं सकते हैं कि सिर्फ कॉन्स्टिपेशन पर एक फ़िल्म बन सकती है. या पिंक में इट इज़ द फर्स्ट टाइम इन हिंदी सिनेमा द वर्ड वर्जिनिटी इज स्पोकन. A reference is being made to virginity. Otherwise, if a Hindi film heroine has to be completely pure, agree, Mita?
या ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कहते हैं उसके पाँव भारी हो गए. But yes, both Piku and Pink were in a way a great revelation, I felt. Piku because it brought in a film which had really no story. It was just a relationship between a daughter and a father. And there was a great amount of identification with the daughters of the world, and particularly in India, because many of the daughters who saw the film for the first time invited their parents and their fathers to come along to see it again, because they identified with that relationship. Pink, of course, the issue was so strong and so valuable and so pertinent in today's times that it was something that needed to be said, and it had to be said in as powerful a manner as possible. I'm really very grateful to Shujit Sarkar and Anirudh and Ronnie Lyre for making that film and even thinking about it. And thinking about it not so much in a way to preach the content, but I felt to just touch it very briefly and leave a lasting impression. Devising that last comment of the film, No Means No, was by itself very debatable when we were discussing the script. It was felt by the writers and the directors at that time that in the final summation of the court scene, I would get up and make a long speech, which would encapsulate all that had happened in the film from the start to the end. But I felt that having said so much already, and all the lawyers that were arguing for and against had said so much that really wasn't needed. And because Deepak Sehgal, who is the character in the film, was hesitant in the beginning because of his bipolar condition to make any kind of argument in court, he would stand up and say, no questioning, Your Honor, or no, Your Honor. I felt if we played on the word no, it would just fall in line with the character. And then the writers and us thought that why can't he just work on the word no? And I thought that that was a brilliant piece of writing by Vitesh Shah when he discovered this sentence. And the way he put it, that when a woman says no, you need to stop. And it can be anybody, your friend, your partner, your sex worker, even your own wife. And I thought that that was extremely powerful. And I'm so happy to have been associated with a film of this nature, because in many ways it almost became revolutionary. And the tagline became the tagline of the nation. And in some of our interviews that we did during the promotion of the film with the media, there were at least 2 instances where the lady interviewer actually broke down in tears while she was interviewing us. That's how it affected many people and many women. We still have a long way to go, and we hear of some incredibly hideous incidents that keep happening in our country. And I do pray and hope that they stop. And I do hope and pray that films like Pink will bring in some sense into these terrible incidents that keep happening.
It's been 47 years and you're still facing the arc lights. How are you feeling? What are the changes you see on the sets, off the sets, in the audience?
Yeah, a couple of technical things have changed. There's no longer film, so I don't know whether we should start referring to the industry as a film industry, because we're not using film anymore. It's all digital. That's the difference. With that difference, a lot of the making procedure has changed. For me as an artist, we were so conscious in our earlier years of not wasting film, because it was the most expensive product in the costing of the film. And so every time we went up to give a shot, we were terribly, terribly conscious that we have to finish it in one take, or either we're going to get thrown out of the film, or we're never going to get another chance. So having lived with that kind of phenomena and that danger that you have to get it right the very first time, was kind of limiting us in case we wanted to improve in the next take. We never got an opportunity. Many a times, for example, working with Rishikesh Mukherjee, I used to tell them, Rishida, can I have another take? He said, नहीं नहीं, ये एक take बहुत अच्छा है. I said, please दादा एक take और दे दीजिए. ठीक है, take करो, इसका पैसा तुम देना. So these were some of the limitations that we lived with. But now it's digital. The camera doesn't stop, and the producer doesn't care if it doesn't stop, because it's just limitless. And we use this to great effect in the film Pink, and I keep referring to that because the entire courtroom scene was shot with 7 digital cameras. And there were, 20, 30 pages of scenes that just went on endlessly without stopping or without cutting. But each camera was catching some character, some actor that was involved in the scene. So it's not like you went, said your lines, and then went back to your vanity van or your makeup room and didn't bother about what was happening next. You did your shot and you were still involved in the scene, because even when you were walking back to your chair in the set, you were being followed by the camera and your reactions were being noted. This was something very revealing. There was a lot of honesty in the way it happened. There was a lot of concentrated interest in what was going on. Normally what would happen that you would do a close-up and go away and not bother with what your colleague was going to do or how he was going to perform or enact that scene. If you had a double shot, yes, you are aware of it, but sometimes when they're doing a close-up, you're not there. But here we were in the world of digital cinema, absolutely involved in everybody, every person that was sitting in the scene, even though he wasn't saying anything. We would be having the liberty to notice him and prepare ourselves for what was going to come next as naturally as possible. So that was the technical difference. The other thing that we notice now is many women on set. In my time, there were just two, the leading lady and her mother as a chaperone. But now you have almost 50% of the workforce, and that is really creditable, the workforce, all managed by young girls, whether it is in production, whether it is in the camera department, whether it is in the continuity department. They're just looking after everything, and it's just wonderful to see the kind of dedication and devotion that they put in. We rely a lot on them because for some reason we feel that the ladies are never going to make a mistake. And it works out really, yes. They're very efficient, and I really love the moment when I'm on set, because I just feel free to be able to say my lines and be involved in the scene and not worry about what my continuity is or what I should be wearing or which button of my jacket was open in the previous shot. These were things that we had to look after ourselves in my time. But now there are wonderful ladies that come around and do this for you. But really want to compliment that entire atmosphere. But look at not just the workforce, we look at the women writers and directors who have come forward and done so brilliantly well. In the last 2 or 3 years, 4 or 5 years, we've had some very prominent directors, and we've had excellent writers. And I hope that this continues, because really we need them to come forward and tell the men that they are better than them.
That is great insight into what was happening in cinema in the olden days and what is happening now on the sets. Mr. Bachchan just mentioned about watching a film on a bench and his ticket was 8 annas or something. I remember my mother when she was in Karachi, there used to be Janana shows, and I think they were carrying the children with them free, and they would sit on a small bench and maybe it was 20 paise or something. So after so many years, when Bandit Queen was released, there was a ladies show for the first time. So it was something that happened after decades. In a recent interview, you said, "Hey, I don't know so much about cinema. My wife knows more than me." Today, discussing the digital observations about how the whole scenario has to be there and so many other new insights, I don't think that is true at all.
No, it is. I mean,
You just survived for 47 years like that only.
no, somebody wrote things for me, somebody asked me to wear something, somebody told me walk here, say these lines here. I just followed like a robot, and I was lucky. But Jaya has a lot of insights into a film, into the story, into the making. I missed the point many a times, and that's why I said what I said.
We are lucky to have Mr. Bachchan here share his observations on his own cinema and about the changing cinema, about the changing decades. I had promised him that I was going to set him free before 7:45, and I think I have kept my promise.
Thank you. While we were talking about cinema and stories and why this photograph was there on the front page, and my lack of knowledge about assessing what a story and a film is going to be like. When Manmohan Desai came to me and said, I'm going to make a story called Amar Akbar Anthony, I said, Man, tu pagal ho gaya yaar. कौन देखने जाएगा ऐसी पिक्चर जिसका नाम है अमर अकबर एंथनी? इन एन ईरा व्हेन फिल्म्स लाइक बड़ी बहन, छोटी बहू, इस तरह की टाइटल की फिल्म आया करती थी, वहाँ पर अमर अकबर एंथनी, ऐसे पागल हो गया, कोई नहीं देखने जाएगा. He abused me and said, you watch what happens. And then, to our horror, we had the opening scene of the film where three brothers are lying in hospital and one tube is going from each one of their veins into one lady. I said, Man, this is atrocious. This is not permissible in medical history. Forget cinema. He said, "Chupchap बैठा रह तू, कुछ मत बोल, अभी देखना क्या होता है." And you know, when the film was released, when this shot appeared in the opening sequence, there was huge applause in the audience. So obviously my knowledge of cinema is useless, and Manmohan Desai was much better.
But tell us about this egg scene, because it's my book cover, so we would
this
like
was
to
one
know
of
how
the
it happened.
atrocities that he asked me to do. You know, तेरे को अंडे के अंदर से निकलने का है. मैंने कहा, okay यार, अभी क्या करें?
मान गए?
Yeah, because the girl was Christian and it was Easter, and he made me wear something which was very Christian looking, and made me do all kinds of things and asked me to recite some lines. I used to just fool around with the English language, the whole country of the system, because
Yeah, there is a story
it's a lot of
about what
rubbish.
you've
But
spoken,
you know,
right?
he heard me saying it someday and he said, "Hey, put this in the song." That was another moment of madness, but you know, that was what Manmohan Desai was. He was a genius, truly.
Javed Akhtar once said about Amitabh Bachchan that असल जिंदगी में उनकी कोई भी आइडियोलॉजी क्यों ना हो, उनकी जो भी राय हो, मगर एक बार वो सेट पर आते हैं, आप उनके हाथ में तलवार दो, चाकू दो, गन दो, सितार दो, कुछ भी दो, he will do it with conviction. And that is why he came out of an egg and he made us laugh and cry. Thank you, Mr. Bachchan.
Thank you.